do we have the leverage and what's in the moment to make the biggest impact that we can, or should we take what is offered, then recoup and build our forces even larger?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
609 area code. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Name is Mike Sorry from Local 177 in New Jersey.
Mike from Local 177. Second caller from 177. What are your thoughts?
The 177.
The 177.
Back on it.
The 177. Yes, sir. All right. So, as a steward, understand that the saying goes, the language is the language is the language. So it's important that everybody actually reads the agreement, your supplement, and the master agreement before coming to any conclusions. Me personally, our supplement was released yesterday, so I've been reading both the national and the supplement. It's also important to understand that we did not vote to go on strike. We voted to authorize Sean and the team to strike us if a fair contract wasn't reached. Not the best historic contract, if a fair, that's what it said on the paper that they all voted on and signed. Didn't say historic, said fair, right? So they believe it's a fair contract. That's why they gave it to us to vote on it. So the question, right, on the vote is, yes or no, is it worth striking and losing pay and your benefits, your medical benefits, because we have to work to get our benefits, right, for an indeterminate amount of time? Because once you strike, you don't know how long that strike is going to last. You could easily say, it's only going to be a couple of days, guys. Don't worry about it. No one can say that. It could go weeks, months. Then the company's losing business, which guess what? That means they don't need as many of us to come back. So as far as the part-timers go, that should scare the you-know-what out of them, because how it works, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I'm relatively new to your chat here, to your podcast. But if the full-timers like myself get laid off, right, we can bump the part-timers and do their job and kick them off the workforce, basically. So you're going to strike for a couple extra dollars, and then you're not going to have a job, possibly. So how does that make sense?
I would say you're absolutely right that these are things to consider, and it is important. It's absolutely important to count the costs. And like we were talking about earlier, do that power analysis. Can you win? And you're right. You don't know how long it's going to last. I don't think that this is certainly not a comparable industry, not, at all. But, we have seen in Alabama, there was a coal miner strike that went on for 2 years. And frankly, they lost. They went back without a contract after 2 years. So, sometimes, when we fight, we win is a very popular slogan, and it is true. But it's not when we fight, we always win, right? And that is definitely
agreed.
It's important that's important to understand and to take into account. But I will say that, the most recent strike was 1997, and I believe it was, I can't remember exactly, but it was pretty quickly that they were back to where they were before the strike. I think within 6 months.
15 days. Yeah, it was only 2 weeks, yeah.
No, what I'm saying is the strike, yes, the strike was 15 days, but, you mentioned about potentially if there's a strike, UPS is going to lose business, and then they're going to have less jobs, potentially, and just to speak to that, in 97, they did lose some business, but they got it all back and then some within 6 months, I think.
Right, so you have to, so I guess for the people that are going to vote on this have to, I guess you can think about that, but we don't, again, factually speaking, we don't know that's going to be the same.
Exactly.
So you, especially as a part-timer, are going to risk your job to go on strike. As a full-timer, I have no risk. I just have the inconvenience of doing a different job at the same pay rate. I'm going to do your job at my pay rate as a full-timer bumping a part-timer. So and also, listen, if the vote comes back no, which it's not going to, I've been very clear about that, right? If it is, I'll be the first one there to show up. I'm a strike captain. I'll be there supporting the will of the people. Unlike what happened last time when the 2/3 pushed the contract through. On the voting, you asked the previous caller. So what happens is, guys, the Teamsters will send something in the mail to you with a access code or a PIN number, whatever you want to call it, and then you will follow the instruction, go on to the website, type in your PIN number and information, and you'll vote online. That's how the contract is voted on.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. And somebody in the chat mentioned, and I did say this, it's totally different industry, different circumstances, but he said regarding the coal miner strike, difference between a strike at a dying industry and a strike at a place that caters 6% of the GDP. And yeah, I mean, exactly. There, obviously we can't say, exactly what's going to happen, but you could almost guarantee that a strike at UPS would not be 2 years. But, it's
yeah, no, I don't think it would be that long. I absolutely don't. I'm not in that camp, but you don't know what
you don't know what you don't know.
And some of the stuff that you have now in this contract, you're not guaranteed to get in the next tentative agreement, right? It's all off the table then, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, we keep this and so you don't know what you're going to lose in that case. So I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm not telling anybody how to vote. My opinion is just that it's going to pass because of all the good stuff that's in it. Is it perfect? No. Is it historic? I tell you, I've been very clear about it. The only thing that's going to be historic is the yes vote, the percentage that comes back.
Appreciate the call. Thank you.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate your fairness.
And let's go ahead and bring on the next caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Lenny Powers from Southern California. How y'all doing?
I'm good, Lenny. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just kind of taking in all of what's happening within labor. I mean, we're at a big moment right now. I mean, we have, just along with the writer strike, and the SAG-AFTRA strike, and then, this, tentative agreement with the Teamsters. I find myself, kind of taking in what's going on and the, the historic nature of it all, and it's quite exciting. But I really do want to address the the concerns around the press release, if you will, of calling this tentative agreement a historic win. I mean, and yes, it is a historic win, but there's also two truths could exist at the same moment, where this is a historic win, but at the same time, I mean, wages have not grown for the past 40 years, on average, if we're looking at, wage stagnation. So, I do feel, I understand the frustration, especially from these part-timers when you're looking at, something being released and it's stating, these are historic wins, and, and it's not, all hype. I mean, it's true, but then again, I mean, we are living in a time where wages haven't kept up with the cost of living in my lifetime, at least. So what I want to bring to that is the fact that we have to understand that sometimes when we are in a fight, because these are fights, and lives are going to be, greatly impacted when we look at, possibility of strikes. We have to look at the socioeconomic positioning of certain individuals versus, of others. So if we're looking at a person that's on the higher end of, of the wages within a contract and what, they have to win versus what, an entry-level position person would win within this contract, that's huge. And we have to take that all into consideration when we are, demanding strikes. But at the same time, I mean, if you look at, industries, across the board, capital right now is hurting, but yet they've grown so large through monopolization and mergers and just being so large that my only fear is that what's happening with the WGA and, SAG-AFTRA at this point, is the possibility of UPS to just wait this thing out because they have, a big enough, purse that they, can do that? Would it be appealing to workers that, work temp jobs to take these scab positions? And in my estimation, I could see that, that might be more suffering than what we could, more than we can anticipate when we do call for these strikes. And yes, I believe that labor is in a good position at the moment, but it's not in a position where it could overall weather the pressures of capital that's going to be put on these workers that are going to be on those picking lines. And I just want, and it's not to say that we can't grow even larger. I think that we can utilize this moment to springboard into larger labor growth and more participation within organized labor participation, and in turn start organizing other companies such as the Amazon drivers, so that when contracts come around in the future again, that we could, in a larger number, hold capital's feet to the fire and put that pressure on them in a larger way. I just believe that, especially when you're involved in online activism and online community, when you get, because we also have to understand that we may get caught up in our own silos and our own echo chambers, and almost feeling as if the moment is larger than what the greater number of the populace would see it as. So in that sense, it has to be looked upon as in a strategic matter. Like, do we have the leverage and in the positioning within the moment to make the biggest impact that we can, or should we take what is offered and then recoup and gather and build our forces even larger so that we could make a greater impact within the future? And I understand, I mean, if we look at what can be done with what we have, I mean, I just feel as if we're in a transition period where, yes, the labor activity, labor participation, and labor in itself is been pushed in the forefront and in the limelight to and spotlighted within society more. But at the same time, is it big enough to weather the powers and the purses of capital? And that's kind of my question that I really would love to get a sense of where you all stand on that. And I'll take the answer off the call. Thanks, guys.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Yeah, thanks, Lenny. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. And that's the right question to be asking. The question absolutely is not. The question is not, are we being paid more than Amazon workers? The question is not, what is it? Am I being greedy? Right? Those are just silly questions to ask. The question is, do we have enough power to take this, to take more from the company? And I would lean towards yes. I would lean towards, that potentially there's more on the table. And I think that there are a lot of people that, even that are going to be voting yes, that would agree with me that there would be more on the table potentially. The only question would be, is the membership unified enough to demand more at this time? Because the only way that, the saying there is more on the table is not the same as, are the Teamsters, UPS Teamsters, unified enough to take it, right? And that's what that's what would have to be done is to take it. And I would certainly hope so that even, and I would think so, that even the people that vote yes, if the majority comes back with a no vote, I would have faith in my sisters and brothers in the Teamsters that they would support what the majority says. So those are kind of my thoughts. Adam, I don't know if you have anything else to add to
that. Not really, to be honest with you. I've been trying to engage with the chat a little bit, and I think you're on to it, honestly.
Yeah, and well, I mean,
I just want to say, a couple. I guess what I would say is, you're right about it takes a power analysis, and I am not in a position to be able to determine whether or not the Teamsters can pull off a strike should they vote down this contract. Nor will I say, as a non-UPSer, whether someone should vote yes or no. As I mentioned earlier, you could call that being wishy-washy or call it whatever you want to call it. It's just, if someone were telling me how to vote on my contract and they were not working alongside me and they were not governed by said contract, I would take their opinion with a giant grain of salt.
Exactly.
So, I think for me, what's important is that these workers, these brothers and sisters are having this dialogue, and I hope that they can, win this struggle, whatever that win looks like. And for some people, this TA is what that win looks like, and for some people, it's not. And so that is what it is, and that's the beautiful thing about our movement. Is we as workers have to push and pull and organize and have these conversations with each other. And so, I'll just finish by saying, it's not my position as an IATSE member or as a part of the Valley Labor Report to say yes or no. I'm just not going to do that. I don't think that's really my place, but I'm glad that as a labor radio program, we've provided some space for folks to have those conversations. Can you make recommendations? Yes, I think you can make recommendations. I have my thoughts about it. I think a strike is the most powerful weapon that we have as working people. And so if you are able to pull off a strike in these sort of conditions and extract more concessions, then by all means, I think that's what we can and should do when it's possible. But again, I'm not seasoned enough inside that movement to know particularly whether or not that team, this is the fight that's going to lead to a strike and a successful strike and all that. I can't say that. Hindsight's 20/20. So again, I'm glad that folks are having the debate, and I'm glad that folks, are seeing the Valley Labor Report as a platform. I think we try to be fair with folks. We've got vote no folks and vote yes folks, and
we really,
if you're a worker and you work for a living and you're working for somebody else, you're my brother and you're my sister, and it doesn't, however this thing shakes out, there will still be a lot of organizing to do and a lot of work to do.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.